Bill Holston. I'm the CEO of the Dallas Eviction Advocacy Center. I love the fact that you succinctly and powerfully tell us what's going on in the state and how these fascists are trying to take away our freedoms as Texans. My favorite quote is Seamus Haney's Kira Troy. History says don't hope on this side of the grave, but once in a lifetime, the tidal wave of justice rises up and hope and history rhyme. May it be so.
It's Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch. Rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Protests arise across Texas over this last weekend and continuing into this week. In Texas, primarily centered around the Donald Trump-Greg Abbott immigration crackdown, but also more broadly against Trump's policy moves in general. Patricia Ortiz at Houston Public Media says thousands of local folks marched through the streets of West Houston on Sunday to demonstrate against Trump's immigration policy from Montrose to Herman Park and back, with local civil rights nonprofit Fiel Houston and the group Immigrating Youth Texas organizing. KHOU-TV in Houston notes that a Saturday immigration policy protest in Conroe resulted in several arrests. A statement from Conroe Mayor Duke Kuhn claims that, quote, several protesters became aggressive, disorderly, and unlawful and assaulted a Conroe police officer, unquote. And while we don't know exactly what happened, here's a scenario. You're taking part in a peaceful protest. You accidentally step off a curb into the street. A police officer confronts you for obstructing a roadway. Your fellow protesters around you react to this police provocation, and one lays a single hand on the officer to hold him back. That can constitute assault on a police officer, and everybody's going to jail. Protest smart and carefully, y'all. Any small mistake and you're the bad guy. Protests extending into this week. Elizabeth Evans and Jenna King at Fox 7 TV in Austin say a large anti-ICE protest filled the street in North Austin last night. Monday, some of the protest signs reading "Education, not deportation," "Immigrants make America great," and "We speak for those who can't." A robust Austin police presence was on the scene until at least 10 p.m. last night. No reports this morning of any arrests. The kids are in on this too. Stephanie Coithen at the San Antonio Current says San Antonio ISD students have organized a walkout to protest the threat of ICE raids in Texas schools, the Trump White House's scheme to end birthright citizenship, and more. Students at multiple district campuses say they plan to walk out of their classrooms at 12:55 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday the 5th, and march to Yanaguana Garden at Hemisphere to consolidate with students from other schools, then to march to San Antonio City Hall for a peaceful demonstration at 3 p.m. Once again, everybody be safe and smart. The kids are standing up in smaller Texas cities as well. One more from Elizabeth Evans at Fox 7, who says students at Leander ISD's Glenn High School staged a walkout yesterday, Monday, also in protest of Trump's greenlighting of ICE raids in schools. The Glenn kids gathered at Robin Bledsoe Park, 3 miles south of the school, demonstrating with signs and shirts reading "Stop Deportations and Abolish ICE." Glenn High School Principal Josh Haug was surprisingly supportive in his message to families, saying, quote, "We value and support our students' rights to express their opinions and advocate for causes they believe in. The ability to engage in peaceful protest is a fundamental aspect of our democratic society, and we encourage our students to exercise their voices in a responsible and respectful manner," unquote, while also saying what we're saying: your opponents are chomping at the bit for an excuse to shut you down. Stay peaceful and lawful while exercising these vital fundamental rights. Meanwhile, a national protest is being organized against the implementation of Project 2025, the blueprint that candidate Donald Trump pretended to know nothing about, and the same that is now being put into practice and policy by President Donald Trump. Not a big fan of Newsweek around here, but they say the 50-51 movement, or 50 states, 50 protests one day, is calling for gatherings against Trump's fascist plans tomorrow in all 50 states. For Texas, they've set a time of 11 a.m. at the state capitol building, then a march to San Jacinto Plaza nearby for a second demonstration at 4 p.m. All of that happening tomorrow, Wednesday, the 5th of February. Even amidst the beginnings of civil unrest, Governor Greg Abbott is continuing to escalate his campaign of fear against Latino communities in Texas. Jack Fink at CBS News says Abbott has granted Texas National Guard soldiers the authority to arrest migrants crossing into the state illegally, a power up till now reserved only for federal officers, but now extended with the blessing of the Trump administration. So the Texas National Guard, at least as far as immigration goes, now more or less acts as Donald Trump's army on the ground in Texas. Whether they'll limit their campaign of intimidation to suspected undocumented migrants remains to be seen. Multi-zillionaire and Texas transplant Elon Musk has quickly morphed into a genuine supervillain, at least to those of us who value democracy. We hope you're taking time to keep up with the blitzkrieg, for lack of a better term, that Musk has launched against a variety of U.S. federal institutions. See links in the show notes from the New York Times on Musk's blitz shaking the U.S. government as he sweeps through a series of agencies. NBC News on how Musk and Doge are hacking the U.S. government. From CNN on how Elon Musk has now set off 2 weeks of chaos across Washington, D.C. From CNN on how Musk's attempted gutting of USAID could leave thousands of Americans jobless. It's too much to cover in this brief daily dispatch, but that obviously is the point. Elon Musk realizes that for the moment he has no check, so he's doing as much damage as he can, as quickly as he can. Could there be a limit, however, to the damage that Donald Trump is willing to take to his approval ratings over Musk's trampling of democratic norms? Serene Habishian at Axios says yesterday Trump, who hasn't yet made any official statement on USAID's future, appeared to bristle a bit at Musk's ambitions, telling reporters that Musk, quote, can't do and won't do anything without our approval. We'll give him the approval where appropriate. Where not appropriate, we won't. Where we think there's a conflict or there's a problem, we won't let him go near it, unquote. And what could be seen as a Trump counter-move on USAID against Musk, suddenly Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a Trump shill if there ever was one, took a moment out of his negotiations in El Salvador with that country's quasi-dictatorial president Nayib Bukele on a bright idea to imprison American offenders in that country, including U.S. citizens, to announce that Rubio is now the acting director of USAID. Whether that'll slow Musk down or not, I suppose we will see. Donald Trump himself, as a second-termer and well past his prime, may not be super concerned with his personal polling numbers, preferring to play king on the golf course, but the Republican Party is as vulnerable to public opinion as any American political party has ever been. Ed Kilgore at New York Magazine has posted an interesting essay on that topic, reading in part, quote, Trump 2.0 is entering its first serious rough patch, with a significant public backlash against a poorly executed and almost immediately suspended federal funding freeze, upcoming fights over congressional budget decisions, the messy details of mass deportation, and Trump's own tendency to overreach could all drive his popularity down to where it's been for most of his public career, unquote, meaning in the gutter. Trump himself, if history serves as a guide, seems likely to coast into the sunset. It's up to each of us to do our part to hang Trump's hateful legacy around the necks of the Republican Party. The 2026 elections will be here very, very soon. Our funding at Progress Texas is rarely sufficient for us to plan much more than a quarter or two ahead, but the conservative disinformation machine we oppose has no such obstacle. They're funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups. Our regular everyday listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas. If that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor. No amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to John Oberlin, Lucy Frost, and Gene Robinson, all three of whom are on the team. For our Austin listeners in particular, but really to all of you, the Amplify Austin Day season for 2025 is officially underway. This year's early giving period has begun. Look up Progress Texas at amplifyatx.org or see the direct link in our show notes this morning. The official I Live Here, I Give Here Amplify Austin Day is coming up in early March. We'd appreciate your support. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit, rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.